Murder is defined as the killing of another human being for malicious or unjustified reasons. Murder is a type of homicide, which is the generic and legal term to terminate another human's life. Murder is not the only type of homicide, as there is also manslaughter, which is the accidental killing of another person, and there are also cases of justified homicide, like in acts of self-defense. Murder is bad. Everybody with a basic sense of morality can come to the objective and reasonable truth that murder is bad. In this video, I plan to explain why abortion is murder, but first we must talk about what an abortion is. An abortion is the intentional act of terminating a pregnancy by ending the life of the fetus. Many countries have legalized abortion recently. However, in this video I will be focusing on the United States because I am pretty sure this is where a majority of my viewers are from and live. There was a Supreme Court case called Roe v. Wade in 1973 which considered abortion a constitutional right. However, Roe v. Wade was overturned in the year 2022, and it was left to the individual states if they wanted to make abortion legal or outlawed. Abortions are done for a multitude of reasons, but most of the common reasons for abortions are usually one of the following: financial issues, timing and relationship issues, health concerns, opportunities and goals interference, and issues pertaining to rape or incest. To terminate a pregnancy is to kill a living being with a human soul. Biology tells us that at the point of conception life begins, and Catholic teaching tells us that ensoulment, when a person has a soul, is also at the point of conception. So, because the infant is living, and because it's human, and because it's not an arachnid or a virus, it is murder to perform an abortion. Now, if a family or mother is experiencing financial issues and cannot afford to raise a child, that is not a valid reason to terminate a pregnancy. There are adoption facilities and foster homes, and while these are not perfect, I'm sure that if you ask the fetus if they would rather live in an orphanage or be killed with their limbs nipped by tweezers, I think I know what they might choose. Also, people might feel uncomfortable or negligent to put a baby in an adoption center, but what should make people more uncomfortable and negligent is killing a baby. What is worse is timing. What I am referring to is not rape, so do not take this as my opinion on rape. It is not okay for anybody to have an abortion, regardless of age. The child in the womb is the youngest of any party involved in the matter of an abortion, and it does not make sense to have an abortion if a couple is too young or not wanting to have a child at the time, because a child's life is more important. When it comes to health concerns, things get more complicated, because if a birth puts the mother and the child's life at risk, it should be in the best interest of the doctors or those delivering the child to attempt to preserve both lives. If not possible, then focus should move to the child, because the child is younger. If you were at the trolley problem tracks, but instead of there being one track with one person and another with five, what if there was one track with an old person and another track with a toddler? Who would you save? Someone with a whole life accomplished, or someone with a whole life ahead? Now, with opportunities and goals, especially with that which relates to work, it might be inconvenient for a woman to have a child. In the United States, there is no universal paid maternity leave for new mothers, and an employer might pay a new mother less or even fire a new mother after she has a child. But does that matter? What matters more, a job or a child? It is such a mundane and silly reason to let an innocent soul die for some work or money. It is insane. The final issue we have come to is rape and incest. First, these actions are horrible, sinful, and all perpetrators of rape and incest should be punished. But does a child need to pay the sins and wrongdoings of the father? Does a child need to be killed because their parents are related? I know it could seem hard for a woman to carry a child in an incident like that, but there are adoption facilities and orphanages. It is simple that the life and well-being of a younger person should be considered more higher than the life and well-being of an older person. This is the main part of why abortion is wrong. This video focused on the ethics regarding abortion. However, I plan to make a second video explaining more in depth on how abortion is murder, because I did not give many arguments regarding the commonly said phrases and statements said by those who support abortion. Abortion is murder, and this is backed by science, religious teachings in many religions, including Christianity, and common sense. Murder is inherently wrong and sinful, so thus, abortion is by that fact, but not only by that fact alone, wrong and sinful. Abortion is wrong and offensive to God. So, for those who don't believe that abortions are wrong, they either have to give an argument for why they don't think abortion is murder, or they either have to justify abortion knowing it is homicide. There is no good reason for abortion, and instead, we should try to focus on life. For Christians, we must focus on making a culture and society of life, not of death. Jesus loves all, regardless of action, and he wants all of us to come to him and to follow him, that we might not perish in hell, but we might live in heaven. Now, my good friend Denny Brown, Blue Millionaire, has written a segment which further proves that abortion is an evil. Abortion is an abomination in the eyes of the Lord, not metaphorically, not passively, literally. Abortion is the politically correct way of saying killing a baby. It has been reduced by our modern society from the cold, hard truth it is into a political issue. Here's something, when you really start to think about it, most of all abortions happen because of men and women choosing to have kids without taking responsibility for their actions, causing unintended or unregarded pregnancies. Here's another thing. It's a common motto for those who support abortion that because it's their body, they get to choose what to do with it. There's already a ton of problems there. First of all, it's not their body. It's the body of a baby with a heart, a soul, and a mind. Does that baby have a choice? In situations like these? Nope. Guess what the baby would decide if the baby did have a choice with this thought experiment? Alright, little Johnny, very little Johnny. We have got a choice for you here. Oh, nice. I've never gotten a choice before, except when I choose to kick the room walls. So, Johnny, you want to live or die? What type of question is that? Live? Well, you see, we unfortunately do not live in a world like that. Babies have never had a single choice about their fate. If they can't decide if they can live or die, you should not be able to either. Furthermore, babies are children of God. They are innocent human beings created in the image of Himself and are a gift to the mother and the father. Whenever someone kills his children, it angers him. Who wouldn't be angry if someone killed his children? Abortion promotes the senseless murder of millions of babies every year. It is a sinful act, and we as Christians must fight it to the very end.